A clever court case. One evening after attending the concert, two men were walking down the road when they saw a well-dressed and attractive-looking woman walking ahead of them. One of the men turned to the other and said, "I'd give $50 to spend the night with her." To their surprise, the woman overheard the remark. Turning round, she said, "I'll take you up on that." She had good appearance and a nice body, so after bidding his companion good night, he followed her back to her apartment and they went straight to bed. The following morning the man presented her with $25,000. She demanded the rest of her money. "If you don't give me the remaining $25, I'll sue you for it." He laughed, saying, "I'd like to see you get it on those grounds." The next day he was surprised to receive a summons ordering his appearance in court as defendant in a lawsuit. He rushed to his attorney and explained the circumstances to him. His attorney said, "She can't possibly get a judgment against you on such grounds, but it would be interesting to see how her case will be presented." After the usual preliminaries, her lawyer addressed the court as follows: "Your Honor, my client, this lady here, is the owner of a fine piece of property, a garden spot surrounded by a profuse of luscious shrubbery, which she agreed to rent to the defendant for a specified length of time, for an agreed-upon sum of $50. The defendant took possession of the property, used it extensively for the purpose for which it was rented, but upon evacuation of the premises he paid only $25, half the agreed amount. The rent was by no means excessive, even though it was restricted property, and we ask judgment be granted against defendant to ensure payment of the balance." The defendant's lawyer was impressed and amused at the way his opponent had presented the case. His defense was, therefore, somewhat altered from the way he had originally planned to present it. "Your Honor, my client agrees the young lady has a fine piece of property, that he did rent such property for a time, and a degree of pleasure was derived from the transaction. However, my client found a well on the property around which he placed his stones, erected a pump, and sunk a shaft, all labor being performed by him personally. We claim these improvements to the property were sufficient to offset the unpaid amount and that the plaintiff was more than adequately satisfied and compensated for the rental of the said property. We therefore ask judgment not be granted." The young lady's lawyer's comeback was this: "Your Honor, my client agrees that the defendant did find a well on her property and that he did make improvements such as my opponent has described. However, had the defendant not known the well existed, he would not have rented the property. Also, upon evacuating the premises, the defendant removed his stones, pulled out his shaft and took the pump with him. In so doing, he not only dragged his equipment through the shrubbery, leaving my client to do the cleaning up, but he left the hole much larger than it was prior to his occupancy, thus making it very easily accessible to little children. We therefore ask that judgment be granted." She got it.